management tools for event planners, paperwork and beyond. Beyond the plan, budget, and various technologies like event planning software available to the strategic event planners, there are a number of toolbox items you should always have for each event. In this video, we'll discuss what they are and how to structure and use them. Attendee Management Tool. Your computerized registration system should include all the data you need about your attendees, from full contact information to their arrival and departure flight info, if you're greeting them at the airport or transferring them to it after the event, where they are staying, etc., etc. This spreadsheet should be printable in case it needs to be, but as we're all trying to green our meetings, don't print it if you don't have to. The reason this tool exists is so you can find your attendees at any time during the event in case there's a schedule change that impacts them specifically, a family emergency, the arrival of lost luggage, etc. Key Players Rolodex. This can be electronic or in the planner's binder, but it should include all vendors, service providers, etc. who are participating in the event, what they are responsible for, all the ways to contact them, and when and where they will be participating, as well as what member of their staff or volunteer, is responsible for assisting them. Blueprints for events might actually include architectural blueprints of the venue building, but the term refers to your big picture document. The blueprint for each event is the foundation of the event plan and budget, and you should reference it right down to the last minute when you are putting finishing touches on site so you can stay true to the vision. An event blueprint outlines event vision, the reason for and focus of the event goals and objectives, what the event needs to achieve, culture and environment, how the event is pictured, its theme, the climate of the destination, etc., and the must-haves on the wish list. Timelines. We've talked a lot about the master planning timeline that lists everything that has to be done years, months, weeks, and days before an event starts, and even continues through the event to the wrap-up. This master timeline may spawn many sub-timelines that are broken out and handed off to committees and special teams in order to eliminate big picture confusion. These timelines might include specific timelines that apply to audiovisual teamwork, budget credits and debits, communications, marketing and advertising efforts, exhibit move-ins and outs, mailing and shipping, design, printing, and website development, registration and ticket sales, and speaker acquisition and confirmation. Checklists. We don't need to tell you exactly what goes into all of the checklists you'll use while planning events. That's pretty intuitive. Suffice to say that each checklist should list the item or action, when and where it takes place, who is responsible for making sure it does, and a place for that person or someone they delegate to check the line item as complete and initial or identify themselves in some other way. These checklists should also have a place for notes about each item. For example, a signage item might note that a sign was moved 15 feet west in the hallway so as not to impede traffic to the coffee service. Venue checklist. Defining everything you need from it that is promised to you and when and where certain aspects need to be implemented or made available. Auxiliary space checklist. For example, if you're using an event tent as well as an indoor venue, you should itemize all the elements required with and in it in a separate list. Event signage checklist. This spells out what you need, where and when. It may even indicate who is making and delivering it and how to contact them. Site inspection. This checklist will include a ranking of all aspects of a destination, site, or venue that are important to you, such as cleanliness, proximity of important facilities like bathrooms, ADA accessibility, sleeping rooms that fit your needs, space of function rooms, etc. Budgeting checklist. You may want to give your accountant a simple checklist of when he or she needs to make deposits or payments related to the event, for example. Promotion and publicity. If you have a person dedicated to marketing and press relations, they should be responsible for putting together a checklist of who will be contacted, when and why, and what follow-up needs to be done. Site selection. Site selection headings, which may have subcategories, include accessibility, environment, characteristics of the facility itself, from types of rooms to whether the exits are clearly marked, characteristics of the meeting and exhibit spaces, availability and details of food and beverage services, amenity and guest services, on-site equipment availability like tables, chairs, and AV, and anything else important to the functionality of the site. Schedules are next. Your staff scheduling will be driven by two things: who you need to do what, and your budget. Early in the planning and budgeting stages, you need to determine who the key players and support staff are, what their areas of responsibility are, and how much time they will need to dedicate to them and make the event successful. It's a good idea to create a master staff schedule. Yes, you can make adjustments to it as needed to keep your team focused and accountable for time spent and to stay within your staffing budget. Event schedule. The event schedule is the big picture of what needs to be done and when. For example, on Monday before the event starts, you have an 8 o'clock meeting with the venue people, followed by a 9 o'clock audiovisual equipment check and a final briefing with the caterers at 11, and so on. Let's say the event starts on Wednesday. At that point, the schedule will look something like 6:30 a.m. breakfast meeting with the staff and volunteers, 7:30 a.m. staff report to their areas of responsibility and do all systems go check, 8:30 a.m. registration opens, coffee service in place, 10:30 a.m. formal coffee break in main hall before first seminar block, 11 a.m. seminar block 1 begins, and so on throughout the event. This schedule is what you use to direct all the behind-the-scenes functionality of the event. Program or agenda. The program is the actual agenda of the meeting or event. The attendees will all receive a copy of this program or agenda. It might start with a Tuesday opening of registration, then the coffee break. What the attendees see on the program is a list of all 4 seminars taking place at 11 a.m., who the presenters are, and what rooms they will be held in. Their program for the day will continue with a lunch break and other afternoon session blocks, afternoon break, icebreakers reception at 5:30 perhaps, followed by dinner at 7. The program will be integrated into your event schedule as well because you and your team need to keep a close watch on every aspect of the event. Production schedule. In some cases, the production schedule element will simply be part of your event schedule. For example, in the model we've just used of seminar blocks, you may have just set each room with everything it will need for every seminar that takes place there throughout the event, in which case you don't need a production schedule because you'll set it up once and strike it once for each room. On the other hand, if your event is a series of presentations, workshops, seminars, and entertainment all taking place in one room or on one stage, you'll need a detailed production schedule itemizing the setups and strikes for each scheduled session and performance. Your logistics management team for this will need just the production schedule for the AV and special effects teams and themselves, as that is all they have responsibility for. And there's no need to muddy the waters with too much information. AV cue sheets. This tool is what the AV techs use to manage the AV equipment during sessions and performances. It would include minute-by-minute timing of such things as lights on, fade-in music and LED wall graphics, fade-out, microphone on for speaker introduction, touchscreen monitor live for speaker's presentation, guest mics live for Q&A session, closing remarks, fade-in music and LED wall graphic, and then lights out. Use online tools as well, such as event budget calculators. If you do an internet search for event budget calculator, you'll find a number of free options that can be used online or downloaded. Marriott Hotels, for example, offers one that will estimate your function room, accommodations, food and beverage, and even tips and gratuities for planning events in their properties. There are Excel spreadsheets you can download and customize, and even quick and dirty party estimators in which you can check different categories like drinks, decorations, and entertainment based on low, medium, high, and over-the-top desires, and the guesstimate is calculated based on your number of attendees and pricing averages. Event space calculators. Even if you do your room setup diagrams by hand, you may find event space calculators online that take into consideration such factors as numbers of guests, size of stage, dance floor, other obstructions, type of event, setup style, i.e. theater, classroom, cocktail, etc. Subcalculators even tell you how many tables you'll need and how much to add to exhibitor booths if they need AV equipment. Event summary report. You may want to format a template for this item for all your events so you can simply fill it in and expedite it to the client, your files, and other need-to-knows. This report includes event name, dates, locations, etc., budget, overages, shortages, notations, market information including number of attendees and attendee demographics, communications and advertising efforts and results, summary of audience response data, accommodation information, i.e. block numbers, rooms, and rates, activities data including how many participated in each, staff data, highlights, testimonials, etc., photos, and lessons learned. As you plan events, you'll add to your toolbox. The objective of tool creation and evolution is to make your life as an event planner as easy as possible while ensuring each event's success. Your toolbox will be uniquely yours, but if you start with the basics we've discussed here, you'll be well on your way to having a great one.